مساء الخير and good evening. Before I start, I just want to make sure that whoever needs a translator to please indicate so, and we'll provide you if you haven't received one yourself. اللي محتاج ترجمة بس يقول لنا أو يبلغ أحد من الفريق وراح نجيب له بس قبل لا نبدي. أولاً أنا سعيدة في لقائنا هذا اليوم. اليوم اللي يعتبر المنتدى الرابع لمنتدى مساندة المرأة، وهذه الرابع من سلسلة منتديات بديناها في 2016. والحمد لله كل سنة المنتدى قاعد يكبر، وكل سنة قاعدين الحضور قاعد يزيد، ونتمنى أن هذا الشيء أعتقد أنه شيء إيجابي. اليوم موضوعنا ريادة الأعمال الاجتماعية. حبينا نسلط الضوء على هذا الموضوع المهم. نبي نبين شلون ريادة الأعمال الاجتماعية ممكن يخلق فرص عمل ويساهم في تنمية المجتمع وتنمية اقتصاد البلد. فكان وايد أنا اللي يسعدني إن كل مرة إنه وايد سهل علي إن أنا أجد سيدات أعمال ناجحات يثرون الموضوع اللي نختاره. فاليوم الحمد لله يعني عندنا ما شاء الله 4 سيدات أعمال كويتيات راح يشاركونا، زائد عندنا رئيسة شركة ليماك اللي هي سيدة إبرو أوزدمير، وراح تكلمنا عن الأعمال الاجتماعية اللي هم قاعد يستثمرون فيها بالكويت وخارج الكويت. فعندنا ريادة الأعمال الاجتماعية من قطاع الشركات، وريادة الأعمال الاجتماعية من قطاع الشركات الصغيرة المتوسطة. وفي الجلسة الثالثة راح تكون معانا البروفيسورة كاثي كورمان من جامعة جورج واشنطن، وراح تصير جلسة تفاعلية، فأتمنى مشاركتكم. فراح ندعي من الجمهور، واعتقد في عبيتوا الفورمة اللي برا، فراح نختار فكرتين، وراح ندعيهم انه يطلعون معنا على المسرح، وراح يصير في جلسة تفاعلية مع بروفيسورة كاثي كورمان، واتمنى تفاعلكم معنا. نبدي الحين بأول جلسة، وأدعي سيدة إبرو أوزدمير تفضل على المسرح. وطبعا محاورتنا والشريك الاستراتيجي لمنتدى مساندة المرأة الدكتورة العنود الشارخ.
السلام عليكم جميعا. إذا تسمحوا لي أنا بحول حق الإنجليزي حق الحوار مع إبرو. إبرو Ozdemir, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you with us in Kuwait today at the 4th edition of the Women Mentor Forum. You are an extraordinary woman by all accounts and a visionary leader. And we are very grateful that you are here to discuss your leadership style with us. So if I may start with your trajectory within Limak. You joined Limak 11 years ago?
No. It's more than that, 21.
21?
Yes.
Wow, how wonderful. So your entire career has been in Limak, right?
Yes, as soon as I graduated, yes.
And now you are the chairwoman of the Limak group?
Yes.
And you won Businesswoman of the Year in Turkey?
Yes.
So congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And what we see your leadership style is that it's a very active leadership style. You like to be involved not only in the core business product, but in the side activities as well, and the cultural activities.
Yes.
So if you can explain to us this leadership style that took you 21-year journey, which is not a very long journey, from being part of the starting positions in Limak to now actually chairing an international group.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'd like to thank the organizers who invited me to this wonderful event. It's very nice to be with you. And thank you for moderating. It's nice to be with you as well. So let me tell you, it's like I am born in an all engineers family. Like my mother is an engineer, my father, my uncles, everyone in our family are like prototypes. So I grew up in this environment, and my father tries to make everyone an engineer. So whoever he sees and asks someone like, well, who should I be? You know, what should my daughter be? What should my son be? He's like, oh, first he has to be an engineer, and then he can do whatever he wants. So, you know, coming from this perspective, I always thought that I will be an engineer, a civil engineer. So I studied engineering in Boğaziçi University in Turkey, and then I went to New York Fordham University for my MBA degree. And I came back the 1st February 1997, and from the plane, I went directly to the office and I started working. I didn't go home, just I found myself in the office. And since then, I'm working, so it's 21 years already. So Limak Group was founded by my father and my father's friend from university. And actually, my mother was in the same class. And she was the only girl at that time in mechanical engineer, a woman in mechanical engineer class. And everyone jokes with my father saying that he's very practical. He found his partner and his wife from the same class. You know, imagine this, you know, we are from this very practical family, so everything is sorted out instantaneously. And the company started in mechanical designs first, but then to construction. And then we started making investments in energy and in hotels and, you know, distribution. And we started performing the projects not only in Turkey, but elsewhere. But it's the first time I'm involved with another country this much, and Kuwait has become like my second home. Not because only we are performing one of the biggest contracts. Actually, it's the biggest contract a Turkish contractor is awarded outside Turkey, size-wise. But then I become the head of the Turkish Kuwait Business Council. And then, you know, coming back and forth, we started the Kuwaiti Women Engineers Project, which is actually the second project that I have started in Turkey, which is the Turkish Women Engineers Project. So I started to come to Kuwait every month. This month probably I'll be here 2 times. And this is a very interesting journey. Kuwait became our second home, and we have developed friends and so forth. But apparently, I mean, being in engineering so much from day one, I mean, think about myself. I mean, even when we are going to holiday, we stop by a site, we eat there, we go around. Even when I was in primary school, so we go to a dam construction, we go and stop at our highway construction. So I was always been involved in construction and in civil engineering. So growing up in this kind of an environment, I love construction. I mean, today I was in the airport site whole day, and it was very motivating. Staying in the site whole day gives you a lot of energy, and I've met all the girls there as well. So my journey is like started from Turkey, but of course afterwards we built the airport terminal in Egypt. We were in Balkans, Pristina. We built the airport terminal there. We built 2 dams in Albania. We are in Russia, Ukraine, Saudi Arabia. So in many countries, in India, Pakistan, and so forth. So we were involved in the region in many construction-related projects. We are in Africa. We're in Senegal. We're in Ivory Coast. So our excitement and motivation is continuous. But I'm very happy to be here.
And we're very happy to have you. And clearly, you're turning into your father. You're trying to turn people into engineers wherever you go. You go as well. And just to go back to that story, I found it really fascinating that although your mother studied engineering, she didn't practice it in so much as the practical terms like you are. She became an academic, from what I understood.
Yes.
And that was because she found some obstacles being the only woman. She didn't want other women to go through that.
It's actually a little bit different because Limak is founded by my father and his partner from scratch. So my father is a self-made entrepreneur and also his partner. So at that time they were married, and when they were doing their master's degree in industrial engineering, my mother gave birth to me. And then when they decided to be entrepreneurs and establish Limak, they said, please stay in the university, because if we are unsuccessful, at least we have a salary. So basically, when they started the company, my mother was the salary. I mean, she was the only source that, you know, and by this way they were actually feeding us and so forth. So it was a kind of back power, which was always like that.
And you haven't found any obstacles being a woman engineer and being at the construction sites and wearing your hard hat? You never found that it was a problem that you were a woman in this role?
Actually, I mean, you know, it's one of the other stories that came up to me was one of the CEOs in Turkey of a bank in Turkey. He told me that I have a brother who is 2 years younger than me. Of course, he's a civil engineer, as expected, and he's only 2 years younger than me. But I was always the one who was, you know, a little bit older than him, and I was kind of, you know, leading in the PPPs and doing a lot of financing, and I was always at the site. They thought that I didn't have a brother. When they found out that I have a brother, they were fascinated, and he told me like, oh, you know, your father is a very interesting man. He's a very democratic man. You know, although you have a brother 2 years younger than you, we see you always in the front. So my father never discriminated us. I mean, I was, you know, I'm more extrovert. I'm more, you know, want to change things, do things more. He's in the energy sector now. So basically, I have never felt any pressure or discrimination from the, you know, outside. So I started in construction at the lowest level, and I climbed up the ladders. I prepared tenders. I didn't sleep 24 hours. I think, you know, I was very much focused in the work that I didn't care about what the others think. So this developed my self-confidence by time. But I'm the second generation. I'm of course lucky to be in Limak's family. But I said, yes, I'm lucky, but maybe other women are not that lucky as I am. This is one of the reasons I started to support the Turkish women engineers.
Well, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your dedication to corporate social responsibility, because I think it's very inspiring that you focus on this not just in Turkey, but also in the countries where Limak operates. I know you have projects in the Senegal, in Kosovo, and in Kuwait. You're working with the young women engineers. So if you can tell me, why does this message of social responsibility travel where Limak does?
So we have always been, you know, helping other people, you know, but we weren't doing it in a corporate way till we established the Limak Foundation, where we decided that we'll do it in a more corporate way. And the second thing is, wherever we exist, and like in PPPs, in investments, we said that, okay, we have to be actively supporting the community in that country as well, especially in education. But then I said, you know, we have to positively discriminate women till we reach the equality. This is, you know, our motto. I mean, women, sometimes, you know, the man in our company is a little bit upset, saying that you do so many things with women, so many projects that you are doing with women. But I said, we'll do it till we reach an equal level. So we started the Turkish Women Engineers Project, which won awards not only in Turkey but elsewhere. We are doing this with UNDP and Turkish Ministry of Family. Our aim is to create women engineers, but in the CEO levels or in the board member levels or the project manager levels, where they can influence the other women. So we give scholarships, we put them together with mentors, we give them internship opportunities, we find them work. They worked in the biggest airport construction in Turkey. Now we're also building the longest bridge in Turkey, in the world, and they're working there. So we are creating women that can do work in the field, but also at the same time create some good examples and influence others. In Kosovo, for example, the issue is a little bit different. 50% unemployment rate. We build the airport there. We are distributing electricity. They're about to go into the European Union, and they have already, you know, about to finalize the negotiations. We established 2 institutes there. One is the Airport Services Institute. The other one is the Energy Institute. We made a partnership with a Turkish university. We are educating these young university students and give them a kind of certificate so that they can work any airport in Europe or any company that works in energy. So we wanted to create them employment. The message is clear. We said, we need people to work in the energy distribution of Kosovo, and this airport should be managed by the young Kosovian people. And this project has been ongoing more than 5 years. It's very well received in Kosovo. You know, the people, they are so happy, especially the families. They don't know us that we're operating the airport, but they know these projects. And they come and thank us for all the time. And we also built the airport in Senegal. And we're operating it. It's an African country. And now we are starting an academy there. And we also have it in Turkey, an energy academy where we educate people. So our motto in our foundation is clear. We do education, and also we do women empowerment. And this is the reason what I started in Kuwait, the Women Engineers Project. I went to the university. You know, university, 85% are women. Wonderful education. Everyone is fluent in English. Super self-confidence. I mean, I spend a lot of time with engineers all over the world, different countries. I mean, the Kuwaiti women are super self-confident, but we don't see them as much as they should be in the work and the sea levels. So this is the reason we created this project. And now, this morning, I met 12, from the first generation, out of 24 women, 12 of them are working in the site. Quality engineers, electrical engineers, planning engineer, and in all of these different groups or where we are building the airport. And what they told me is, one of them, they said, I'm coming to the airport and work so happy every morning. You know, I'm so motivated. So this is something that really motivates us.
Yeah. Well, it motivates us too, and we love that you're supporting women so actively. But I think you're also, as a woman leader, you're setting a tone for the private sector, and that the private sector should be involved in political and social work, because under your leadership, Limak is involved in projects outside of your core business as well.
Yes.
So for example, you're on the Atlantic Council, and I know you're concerned about the refugee situation in Turkey.
Exactly.
So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Exactly, yes. This refugee, yes, some people ask me, why are you in the refugee? I mean, what is the deal? I said, because we live in Turkey, and our population is 80 million plus, and currently in Turkey there's 3.5 million refugees. I mean, this is an unbelievable number of people currently in Turkey. And most of the studies show that the refugees, 80% of the refugees, they don't go back. They stay in the country, they have migrated. So I started by having 2 women engineers from Syria in the project. Of Turkish women engineers. They are very brilliant. Unfortunately, one of the parents died in Syria, so they migrated from Idlib to Turkey. One of them very successful, double major in construction and in industrial engineering. And they told me that both of them, they want to go back, if possible, to Syria, and when everything is over, and they would like to contribute to the reconstruction of Syria if it's possible. But then there's this other group of people that they will probably not be able to go back, or they will stay. And with Atlantic Council, we prepared a report, and 2 very bright authors who are really professional in this field, they prepared the report, and they analyzed the Turkish policy towards the refugees. And we realized that Turkey has done a lot about that. Turkey is spending $30 billion on this for 3.5 million refugees. And what will be the next steps? I ask myself, I mean, as a private sector, is this going to be an opportunity if it's managed well? Is this the untapped human potential that could be used well so that it could help the economy? So this is what we will be working on as a next step. As private companies, I think we have a responsibility in the countries that we live in, and how the population will shape itself for the next generations or next decades. And this is what we are trying to find out. If migrations are managed well, it's an opportunity. Mm-hmm. If they are not managed well, it can cause huge issues, because then we would create a big population. They will have nothing to lose. And there could be massive issues among the population. So we don't want that. We want to keep this untapped human potential and use it for the happiness of both for the country and for the refugees. So this is what I'm working on.
Well, I think it's fantastic, and we should commend you for this, really, working on this.
Thank
And
you.
I'm also in awe of all the local and international cultural boards that you serve on, and I'm very jealous of your involvement in the arts. And you know, Limak even has its own philharmonic orchestra.
Yes.
So if you can explain to us a little bit, how does supporting the arts benefit your business? You know, you're building cement bridges, but you're also building these amazing cultural bridges. So can you tell us more about this?
Exactly. It's we established a Philharmonic Orchestra, and we are going to the roots of Turkish music. This is another goal of our foundation, because we realize that the Turkish people, they don't like philharmonic orchestras. So we said that, and there's amazing old Turkish musicians who are in the heart of every Turkish people. So we tried with a friend of mine. Now he became the head of the Turkish Ballet and Opera. Why don't we put the old Turkish music into the philharmonic version? And it became very successful. And we operate all over Turkey. We have construction sites, we have cement plants, we have energy plants. We are currently probably exist 50 cities in Turkey. So we decided to make this big philharmonic orchestra with 60 members and put the old Turkish music in the philharmonic version, and we gave 14 different concerts all over the Turkey. We reached around 30,000 people. Everybody was so happy. I mean, we saw in the concerts the amount of emotions that came up listening to the songs of their older generations in that version. And now we are working on the CD and the documentary as well, because we are investors, but we invest also in the happiness of the people as well. I mean, we invest in the cultural roots, cultural foundations, because our aim is to make people happy. I mean, to build an airport in Kuwait, I think it's going to be an iconic structure. It's going to be, I think, the most beautiful airport in the world, one of the most beautiful airports in the world. I think every Kuwaiti will be very happy. But at the end of the day, it's a public service. You know, we want to create people, happy passengers, to fly out and come back. So we want to maximize the experience of the people. We want to maximize the happiness of the people. And this comes in different layers. You give them a public service, and then you create a nice music environment. You take care of the refugees. So this becomes like, or you support the women engineers. You really create a resilient engineers who are happy mothers, and that influence the next generation. So this is currently our aim, what we are trying to do. I don't know if I can explain it.
But maybe you can tell me more about you supporting young Turkish artists. I hear your office is covered with artworks, and so is
Yes,
the headquarters.
please come to our office.
I want to come and visit and see it. Yeah.
Yes, everybody is invited here. This is my personal, collection. But a collectioner always loves when I find some walls, because if there's no walls, there's no space, then the arts stay in the storage. So, you know, they give me the opportunity to put the art pieces that I have in my collection, which is generally 70% Turkish young contemporary artists, 30% international contemporary artists, and it's all over our office. But I gave people a chance to choose what they want from the collection. So it's, and we also have a foundation in Turkey where I'm in the board, where we support the Turkish artists outside Turkey to increase their visibility. So if they are chosen in a show out, like in a biennial or in a very big show or in a museum show, we support it. Or if there's going to be a book to be written about them, we support that. Or a curator, if they are going to a residency program, we support that. Our aim is to create a more visible Turkish art outside Turkey. We established this foundation, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. So I have many hats around it. I mean, my 30% of my time really goes to our foundation and our other social entrepreneurial entrepreneurs, or supporting the young artists or young musicians, I could say.
Well, I mean, we in Kuwait, we have opened a big cultural center. We're excited over the museum, and we're excited to embrace art and have people like you work in Kuwait who embrace and appreciate art. But more than that, we want to know what is the exciting project on the horizon for Ebru and for Limak. We know that you recently spoke at the United Nations, and you're involved in the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yes.
So maybe you can tell us what's next on the horizon for you.
We have so many things ongoing, business-wise as well. I'll just make a quick summary. Last week, we opened the world's biggest airport in Istanbul, 90 million passengers, 2 runways. And the first phase, $7 billion investment. But more interestingly is, we finished 1.3 million meters square closed area, and 2 runways, which are each 4 kilometers in 42 months. It's like a world record. I mean, it was a continuous and a 24-hour construction. So this airport that we are building here is half of the size and no runways involved. So, I mean, this was a massive airport construction, and it's built from scratch, and it was an abandoned area in Istanbul where, old lakes and some big hills were there. So this airport is opened with 90 million passenger capacity, and the airport, Istanbul Atatürk Airport, will be shifted in phases to this airport. At the same time, we are building the longest span bridge in in Turkey, with Koreans, and it will be opened in 2021. It's around 4 kilometers, but 2 foundations in the water, and the distance is 2,023 kilometers, and hopefully we'll break a record of building a bridge in Turkey as well. And at the same time, we are building the highest dam in Turkey right now, which is to be opened at the end of next year. So this is the business-wise. We are having a lot of ambitious goals, and of course for Kuwait Airport, we are working day and night. Hope to finish it. I mean, I was there this morning. It's going to be a massive and very iconic building, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. And regarding Accept the Kuwait Engineers program, we are becoming a part of the Sabah Al Ahmed Center for Giftedness and Creativity, which will be developed by the Kuwait Innovation Entrepreneurship Center. There's a very clear reason for that. We were thinking of being involved in another project. But what I see in Kuwait is this. We are building the airport, but we are a Turkish company. Now we became, with Kediba, a Kuwaiti company. I think Kuwait should be able to build its own airports. Kuwait should be able to build its own infrastructure projects by themselves. So we need entrepreneurs here. We need more people to be involved in the field that we are. And we are happy to teach, or we are happy to take the lead to show the young engineers how to operate these airports themselves. Because these are the efforts, the stakeholders are the private sector, the consultants, the government. We work together to build these infrastructure projects together. And I think with this center, we will empower the entrepreneurs and innovation in the fields that we are active. We will give education to the technical people so that the talent will be in Kuwait. Second, Kuwait women engineers, they are bright, but we have to create role models, successful role models who will be very successful so that they will support the young generations. And these role models will create the sustainable education or role models or mentorships so that we will bring more women into the business. And yes, I was in New York in the United Nations Week, and we are working on the Sustainable Development Goals as well. And we are working on an incubator with the United Nations and Turkish Foreign Affairs and probably Gates Foundation, how we can create an incubator, an accelerator to promote the Sustainable Development Goals not only in Turkey but in Africa and in the world. I hope that Kuwait will be a part of it through this innovation center as well. So there's a lot to be done, not only in the business level, but also on the social investment side. But I'm very, very, excited to be involved in the social investments. I really urge all of you to be a part of the social investment side as well. I don't call it anymore the social responsibility projects. No, these are social investments. We are investing in the people. We are investing in the young generations. We are investing in the women. And we are really converting the next decade, the next generations. Like we call it our Kuwait Engineer Girls programs, second generation. We use the word second generation, and hope that this will inspire all the women around here.
Well, we're very excited to see these mentorship programs develop. As you know, in the Women Mentor Forum, we're really strong believers in the need for positive role models and mentors for young women, and we're very happy to hear that this is actually part of the development plan that you have with the young women engineers. So my question to you is, how important was it for you to have a mentor yourself while you were going through your process within the company?
So it was important, but I was lucky because, you know, my father and his partner from classmate engineers, I was always, you know, kind of working with them. My uncles, my family, and, you know, for example, one of our CEOs who's also leading the Kuwait project, he's been in the company since it's established 40 years. He's also like a family member. I mean, my father probably saw him more than I do. So I was always surrounded by many successful engineers from the family or people like family. And also my mother, who was a very successful engineer, who was an academician, and who was always a role model for me. This is the reason I said mentorship is so important. What we did is, for every girl in Turkey, we chose a very successful mentor. But if the student is a civil engineer, we chose a civil engineer as a mentor, but we also gave her education to be a mentor. And they are working together, and we achieved very successful relationship there. Because if you see something, you can do it better. You have to see it with your own eyes. You have to touch this person. You have to see what the difficulties he had, how resilient she is, how much what she did when she saw an obstacle. If you are really seeing it and if you live that experience, then you understand that and you are more convinced that you can get over this obstacle easier. This is the reason we have to touch these people, we have to see them, we have to read them, we have to understand them more. And I did that. And each day, you know, it's not easy, of course. I mean, work, everybody experienced. Nothing is easy. Every day you wake up again. Every day there's another new day that you have to make new decisions. You have to sort out new problems. But the important thing is that you never give up. And there's always a solution. The best thing is you make a decision. The worst thing is if you are indecisive. There's no bad decision. The bad thing is if you don't make a decision. So
would this be your advice if, you know, I'm sure there are people in the audience, young and old engineers and normal people, non-engineers, who look at you, Ebru, and you epitomize that you can't be what you can't see, right?
Yes.
And so what would be your final piece of advice to them?
A couple of advice. One is there's no free lunch. There's no free food. I mean, if you don't work, there's nothing that you can get. I mean, sometimes I meet people, they just want to be a general manager day zero. She starts working, next day she wants to be the general manager, second day the chairman of the board. There's nothing like that. I mean, even if they propose this to you, don't accept it. I mean, the worst thing is if you accept something that you are not ready. You have to go, from every stair of that ladder. I mean, you have to really experience it. In school, yes, I graduated from civil engineering, but how much do we learn? We learn a lot of things from the book, but the real experience is the work. I mean, the real experience is what you see at work and how you deal with the issues. And there's, different saying that it's not that what you encounter, but it's how you react to it. And the reactions you learn from the experience. You have to work hard. You have to be resilient. I mean, never give up. I mean, I don't like, they ask me sometimes, what's your biggest fear? I tell them my biggest fear is with my Turkish women engineers, Kuwaiti women engineers, we really invest on them. Time, you know, a lot of time of not myself, our staff, the mentors. If they get married and if they don't work, I'm scared about that. I mean, don't give up. Women are definitely multitasking. I work with a lot of multitasking women. They can organize their life and work together. And work hard, you know, do your life-work balance, never give up. Endurance is the most important thing. And the last thing is create role models and support yourself. Sisterhood is the most important other thing. I see men supporting each other all the time in every levels. I don't see this in women. So we have to really motivate women to support the others. We have to encourage it. That's it. I hope
Do you want us to take some questions?
Sure, if we have time.
So in the spirit of sisterhood that we're all here celebrating today, I'm going to ask if we have a question for Ebru, because we're very lucky to have her here and we can put her on the spot with a question now. Is somebody, yes?
Good evening. How are you? And thank you very much for your beautiful motivation. We're all, I'm sure, very inspired. I think I have only one small question. You come off as very ambitious. Was there a prize for your ambition at some point? Something we can learn from? A prize for your ambition. Were you too ambitious at any point? Did you learn anything that slowed you down or helped you reorganize your dream or your goal?
Yes, I mean, before, you know, when I first started, I was very more direct and more ambitious. So if, you know, someone refuses me or, you know, if they don't accept my proposal to invest something, you know, I was very demotivated, I was very unhappy and so forth. But as time passes, you really understand a couple of issues. One is to negotiate. You know, you cannot have everything. You know, you have to negotiate. Second is you have to compromise. I mean, you cannot get everything. It's like life, business life, all life is give and take. You take some, you give some. And it's not one-sided. It's as much as you give, as much as you take. It's like a continuous compromise and negotiation is going on. So you can't be like 100 and 0. So you have to agree on different levels. I was like that. I was less compromising. Now I'm more tolerant, and I listen to people more, I hope. And I'm more team worker now. You know, I think it's also another important aspect. Sisterhood and team working and work together, feel together, aim together is the most important thing. But life teaches you, and aging teaches you that as well. And the kids, probably.
Yeah, well, we'll accept the kids, but we won't accept the aging part, Ebru. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yes, thank you. And I have one more remark. Our ambassador is here from Turkey, and she's an electrical engineer. But I want to say something. She's coming. Her Excellency is coming from an all-engineer family like me, like I am. Like the brother engineer, 3 sisters are engineers, and there's something very important too. You can become an engineer, you can become an ambassador, you can become a minister. Her sister was a minister of family, and she's now in the parliament member. So I think we should dream, and we should be able to work for it as well. So it's a very great role model, and I hope she'll have time to meet her as well.
Well, thank you for being here, Your Excellencies, and we look forward to more Turkish-Kuwaiti projects,
yes.
Especially with you leading the Business Council.
You'll see, hopefully, together.
Together.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.